Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's That Awesome Time of the Month where we get to spectate the monthly cup. It's going to be February today, day 2. Top 4 OC teams battling it out to see who gets the bragging rights, who gets to win the February Cup of the OC Championships. I'm here with Lobo and Steel Agent Kyle, and we're going to be bringing you the action today. Lobo, let's start with you. We had a massive stream yesterday watching the day 1. 10 teams fought it out for the top 4 position. How are you doing today? Are you ready for another day of action?
Mate, we have been casting non-stop over this weekend. Whenever we get to UCS weekend is one of the craziest weekends that we get to do. I'm excited. I'm hyped, especially after what we witnessed on day 1. So, mate, I'm ready for it.
And what about you, Kyle? I mean, fresh off the NA scene, we saw a lot of interesting picks today. Welcome to the OC region. And, I mean, anything else you're expecting from what we saw this morning?
Been a long flight over to the OC, but I'm really excited. You saw a lot of very interesting things out of the North America teams. A lot of teams surprisingly allowing Blissey, which I don't know about that. I think it's pretty dang good right now.
It definitely is one of those Pokemons that we didn't see at all yesterday, and Lobo and I actually had a counter for how many times we had a Blissey ban. It seemed to be every single set we casted. It was just can't get that Pokemon through the ban jail. But speaking of the teams, it is an awesome month for OC region, because for once we had double-digit teams. We had 10 teams fighting it out, so a lot of sets yesterday, and only 4 teams made it through after all the dust has settled. It's going to be Fort Nation, Antic Exodium in the winners bracket, as well as Stim's Children and Nato's Revenge rounding off the losers. The first set we're going to be spectating, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be the Fort Nation against Antic Exodium. So I thought maybe we'll give a bit of time to introduce the players, the talents for those people watching at home. What is going to be a fiery first set. Lobo, do you want to do the honors and tell us who's on Fort Nation and Antic Exodium?
Yeah, absolutely. Like, these two teams are fan favorites over here in the OC region. We were talking behind the scenes. Fort Nation is made up of, as you like to call it, through rank warriors. These guys, we know, have been scrimming. They have been putting in a lot of the work behind the scene, and they've got a lot of support in the chat. Let's go through the names. We've got Kirby, we've got Kieran Mao, we've got Cobb, we've got Heyo, and we've got Fort Nation as well. These guys, this team is such a fun team to watch, and considering we know a lot of these players from ranked, especially here in OS, it's very, very fun to see how far they've come. And man, I'm just excited to see how they go up. But they are up against a very, very strong team in Antic Exodium.
They definitely are, and I think Antic, having not played January Cup, they really needed February Cup here just to sharpen their tools and prepare for EUIC, which is coming up in around 2.5 weeks. This is the team that's qualified from our region to represent us against some international titans in the Europe stage. So, I mean, fingers crossed that both teams put out a fantastic show. But on the other end as well, Nato's Revenge, a team that has been so consistent in our region, is looking to get back into the grand finals, but they have to take down Stim's Children first. And just before we get into this set, remember, ladies and gentlemen, all Pokemons are available this month, apart from Galarian Rapidash, because that's still in moratorium. So, because there are over 70 Pokemon, a lot of choices for these teams to think about the 4 bands that they're going to be bringing into their set. We expect Blissey, we expect maybe Psyduck, Darkrai. Kyle, are there any other Pokemons you expect that might be banned out today?
I mean, Umbreon's a great target every single time, right? That Pokemon offers so much utility, either as the supporter or even as the defender. Miraidon, also a fantastic target for bans. A lot of consider Miraidon, the best attacker in the game. Offers a lot of utility with the Unite move. You can play it both different ways with the Electro Drift or even more that traditional Mage build. Seen some teams pivot with the XP share on it, so it offers a lot of utility. I think the other thing to kind of maybe think about is Blastoise. Jack of all trades, master of potentially all. Teams have used it as a top attack or as a bot attacker, the top laner, and even as that traditional defender, which is the background that it has. So a lot of options that these trainers have.
That's true. I think we saw a lot of Blastoise in the January Cup paired up with the Blissey as well. But since the Blissey buff to its cooldown for the Unite move, you can really use it at any point in time now. Don't have to keep it and preserve it for the Rayquaza fight, which I think is a note to why it's banned so much. The other Pokemon I think that comes to mind is Garchomp, which I think this region really loves. Throwback to I think the AOS qualifiers, we had Garchomp played, I think, 11 out of the 14 matches that we were able to spectate through. And, I mean, that is a Pokemon that is truly the jack of all trades, right? It can have a great early game with its stacks. It can rip objectives, somewhat decent secure with its Unite move as well. But, Lobo, asking you the constant question about your favorite all-rounder, the Mimikyu. Do you think we'll see that Pokemon today?
It's very interesting to me, right? Mimikyu is used in a very interesting circumstance. It has two great attacking moves in Shadow Claw and Play Rough. Now we have also seen Trick Room come into the foray as a more defensive counter to really defend those backline attackers, especially your Miraidon, especially from stopping from getting pounced on. I maintain this. Mimikyu, when it is let out of the ban jail, does not perform as consistently as the other all-rounders that are getting picked. I have a feeling that is due to the preference of players going with either Shadow Claw or Play Rough. I think Shadow Claw is worked much better on a much more tankier, brawlier comp. However, when you have, a few speedsters in there, when you have some evolutions let out, that's possibly when your Play Rough can work on. Also, we have seen a lot of Mew come into the foray as well as one of your general attackers. Mimikyu, I think, gets banned out for a reason because some teams just don't want to deal with it. However, when it is let out of the ban jail, I would really, really like to see it be used to great effect, because we've seen one or two games where Mimikyu pops off, but a lot of games, I think it seems to struggle because of either the move set or the composition that it's coming up against.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we'll see whether we get to spectate any Mimikyu today. I mean, from my knowledge between Fondation and Antic Exodium, they are really a big fan of Cerulege, Shifu, and Garchomp instead of the Mimikyu, but you never know. Maybe they pull it out from under the rug, especially since you're here casting with Lobo. But I think from my knowledge, the game is ready to go. So we might head in. Carl and I will be taking you guys through the action between this set, and whoever wins between Font Nation and Antic Exodium will land themselves in the grand finals and get to really watch much of the broadcast, because we've got the losers finals to do as well. So, Kyle, are you ready to go? Let's see whether we get that Blissey ban, maybe even a Blastoise ban as we head into this game.
That's what I'm thinking. We'll see. We go game number 1, Anticodium versus Font Nation. Get to it.
Let's go. We have a Tinkaton bot path, so it's gonna be your Experience Share Mew coming up from Invader, and we already have Joe lurking in the bushes as their Darkrai, waiting for these birds.
See a little bit of a push here from this top hat. Buzzwole jumping on in. Espeon throws a side shot. Mew, though, cleans up the Buzzwole.
DC able to come up to support their team in a classic 4v3 scenario as the Buzzwole is making their way back up. I want to talk about this Tinkaton bot path. I mean, the fact that it has the time to scale and get some stacks is great, but Tinkaton really needs that level 7 to really be able to do anything, Kyle.
Tinkaton, yeah, the level 7 has got to be it. But you also got to think about the hammer stacks, right? So look for Tinkaton to play very aggressive early on. You want to get those 60 stacks. That's going to increase that diameter of the what is likely going to be that Gigaton hammer. Offers a lot additional stat or attack stat as well. So look for them to play really aggressive.
Speaking of an all-rounder we didn't get to talk about is going to be that Aegislash that Anon's going to be playing. We have Joe in a bit of a tough situation, but the portal might be able to save them. They actually dash out of it and get taken down by the Urshifu. KO will be heading in to the bottom path now. Maybe he can catch Invader by surprise. They're going to be dashing in with their Throat Chop, and that is going to be a nice side shock secure on that KO. Make it 2 for Fontation, as they are going to be taking the lead in the levels that with that bottom path.
That's what you really want to see out of Font Nation. You really take advantage of the early scaling of that Espeon. That's going to allow really Font Nation to push a little bit, but look for Anticodium to really scale late.
They are looking to do just that. We have the Surf on the Mew so far with the coaching as well. Just provide that additional shield and make sure that they can get those dunks in. They leave it on one node. They're going to actually choose to break it because the Regieleki is about to spawn Kyle, and that is going to be a nice little way to start off their early game, putting pressure up that top half.
Exactly what you want to do when you have a Hoopa put on that early game pressure. Now they're going to be able to come down to the bottom path, but Urshifu lines up a great secure with Regirock.
Umbreon gets the worst nightmare by the Darkrai as Invader needs to retreat back to their pad. Unfortunately, will get taken down by Urshifu. Bottom pad is also on one, so a crazy tight start to today's first game. Meanwhile, two members of Fon Nation having to take down this Regieleki in the top path, so that allows Anon at least to get into this game.
This is, again, like, just putting on so much pressure, especially when you have that Hoopa. They're going to play with a lot of tempo. They're going to try to get off to a pretty big score lead, and when Hoopa has some time and space to really control the map, the late game gets increasingly harder, especially for what Font Nation is going to have to deal with right now.
Yeah, Kirby ejects to get out. I'm not sure whether they're going to be so lucky after all, since the Dark Pulse will be able to take them out. And just looking at the levels, a level 10 Darkrai will be setting the stage for Antic X Odium. Make it 2 now, since Anon has reached that level 2. But, you know, Fon Nation not doing too bad. They're on par for their carries, at least, Kyle. And what's going to be set into a break of that bottom pad. Not the biggest overdunk, but when you're going to a Hoopa, any broken of the pads is going to be very crucial.
That's what I was going to say. The overcap right there, not too much of a concern. They just want to continually be able to stay around the map. Look for them to maybe push this T1 goal at some point. I don't know if it's going to be right now, because I think Antic Odium really wants to play for the Regieleki, but potentially Font Nation could just elect to take the basement path, but they really want to fight over this Lecky.
It's all about brawling in this region. Now they have Pokemons that can do just that, like the Buzzwole, but looking at the way they've positioned themselves, Font Nation looks to try to rip down this Regieleki ASAP. Now with the huge Gigaton Hammer, there is secure potential on the side of Antic Odium, and that Regieleki is going to be oh so low. The Espeon is going to be able to do the secure with their Psyshock and the Ultra Soul Slam, landing on the Darkrai, but somehow Joe's still able to get out of there. They're going to be pushing onto this pad with Liz going unbound, trying to bring the team in. Gigaton will go down, and Regieleki's close to walking in, but is there going to be enough juice on the side of Fon Nation to push this in?
I don't know. I think they should be able to hold this just fine. It's going to be tough for Font Nation to push any farther forward, but this Aegislash is playing super aggressive.
They definitely are. I'm going to quickly see what Font Nation can do. And they are behind him. However, if they can get a KO on Anon here, it might be of value, but the Hoopa portal is just so good. You can kind of bait the enemy team to maybe use your moves, use some of the resources, or even a Unite move or two, but when you have a portal that sends you straight back home and, you know, bypasses Nurse Joy, it's a really good way to hopefully keep your carries in the game, Kyle.
Gonna need to keep them in. 3 minutes 30 on the clock, minute and a half until the final stretch, and Antic Odium has a significant point lead. Levels, though, also in their favor. I mean, if you're Font Nation, you really need to find a pick here, and this is going to be the fight to do it.
This might be the pick. Putting out Crash just to keep Kirby in line. We have a nice little Espeon to take down Anon, and Heyo is here to do just that, but gets shut down with the worst nightmare. It's just like a Scopo Unite, and they will fall down as well. Joe picks up a KO streak of 3. 4 members down on the side of Font Nation. We talked about creating an opportunity to come back in this game, but Antic X Odium throwing down questions that Font Nation can't really answer at the moment.
Almost shutting the door right now, like that Darkrai level 14. Font Nation needs to find them. I mean, it's Antic Odium's game to lose at this point, right? Like, as long as this Darkrai can stay insulated, they don't get caught out at the Rayquaza, and they find a target, likely this Espeon, or Shifu, or Buzzwole. If they could take one of those down at Rayquaza, it's almost going to be game over. We'll see what he got, though. 20 seconds left until Ray, and there's a little bit of a push down here for this Regice.
This is a scary objective to fight for. 15 seconds until the final stretch. It might be an early Rayquaza fight, if anything. We do have Foundation looking to secure this. Shifu managed to do that for their team. They're going to have some HP regeneration buff. Small advantage going into this. And they're not really too far behind in the score either, Kyle. So do anticipate them still having a chance here. As Tinkaton now looking for their team. Invader trying to grab some control for Antic X.
Where there's a Ray, there's a way. Tinkaton likely going to try to set up for a potential secure. The Unstoppable is going to be something to look out for if you're Font Nation. That Gigaton Hammer offers a lot of utility, especially if a flip happens.
Joe is already staying in that tier 2 pad. They know Liz has the Rings Unbound available to bring them in, and they're going to start that back cap, putting pressure now on Foundation to make a play. They're going to start running in. The Gigaton Hammer will land onto the Buzzle. They're on 1 HP, and the Rings Unbound is going to come through, bringing Joe back in. And the Ultra Soul Slam jumps onto it, but gets quickly responded by the worst nightmare. And there goes Invader down. Liz also down on the side of Antic X Odium. It actually looks really good for Foundation right now, as a nice eject move from Hayo saves them from that ordeal, but they're going to be run down by DC and also Joe on the Darkrai. Meanwhile, in the pit, we have Fontation trying to stall out for the team because they're going to be coming back, but Shifu going down to Joe is not a good look for them.
This is a great opportunity for Antic. They just need to hold the door, right? Like, they need to make sure that the flip doesn't happen. If it does, they need to be in the pit. But right now, it is their game to lose.
It really is. And with that KO on Umbreon, now we're going to have a 1-by-1. Members of Font Nation dropping like dominoes. It's going to be a nice side shock to stop the inevitable, which is Anon coming to slice through Fontation. Does just that. And he's just going to be Hob now trying to stall out, but they also get knocked down. 4 members down, and the score in the home pad, Kyle. Oh, it's going to be a tough mountain to climb for them now.
Almost an impossible hill to climb. Antic Odium, they're going to be taking game number 1. Almost a perfect sheet here for the Rayquaza. They do lose a couple of Pokemon, but they did exactly what we talked about. They needed to just find a couple of crucial picks. If they're able to do that, they already had that score lead. They added that 100 points there at one point. So they had about a 200-point, lead to play with, and they did exactly what you wanted them to do. Darkrai getting 9 KOs, and Invader holding the door, hitting the hammers, and almost a perfect Ray.
It's just the benefit of having a Mew here as well is the range, right? Just the opportunity to poke out the enemy team and force the Eldegoss to consistently try to heal you up, if not forcing a back to the home pad. Just meant that there was just a lot more space for Antic Exodium to play with. Looking at the damage numbers, not really too high from either of those teams, but when it mattered the most, Antic was able to win some of those matchups, get those Regielekis, break some pads in time, and just creates an overwhelming pressure, I think, for Font Nation to answer to. But it is a best of 3, Kyle, and there's plenty of opportunity for them to come back in. And there we go, Blissey ban as well. Just gonna get the counter up.
Blissey, yeah. I mean, that's what we talk about. Yeah, the Blissey Miraidon. The one I'm shocked to see is Inteleon. So I think maybe there's somebody on Font Nation that is proficient at that. I'm not exactly sure who that would be, but it's...
You're absolutely correct. It's Fontation.
Is it actually Font Nation?
Yeah. So Fontation is the who they look up to, and on their team is going to be the attacker player. And they've changed the name. It used to be AKA, and now it's Font Nation because that's the nation they live in.
I love it.
Yeah, rightly so.
Nation.
But I mean, what can Font Nation do to combat what AXO has brought to the table, though? I'm just wondering, was there a specific draft of Pokemon that might have helped out a little bit more? I mean, I think Shifu and Buzzwole are great picks. I guess on the side of Buzzwole, maybe a little bit harder to access something like the Mew, or even get to a dashing Darkrai. Perhaps another all-rounder like Cerulege might be a decent pick there, just so that you can, worst comes to worst, eject with the Revenant Ren to take down the Mew. Running out of ideas from my end. Do you have any?
Yeah, I think just any Unstoppable is really great, right? Like, they had the right idea with their Shifu, but I mean, if you have another potential Unstoppable to help you dodge some of the onslaught of damage from that Darkrai. It's a tall task, but there's always an opportunity there. I'm not sure exactly what they need to do. Maybe they just think about banning it if they're not quite able to deal with it. There's so many Pokemon that have unstoppables. I liked the Urshifu. It seemed to play pretty well, but it just gets off to a little bit slower of a start. I mean, maybe you could think about being a little creative with your attackers, throw some sort of XP on there and play some more, scaling tanks to kind of help survive it. Because the one thing that Darkrai does struggle with, obviously unstoppable, but also tanks, beefy Pokemon. I mean, you could run some more of those and have you could throw the XP share on the Espeon. You could throw an XP share on an Alolan Ninetales. Something to keep it from diving on top of you is going to help you most times, especially against a speedster.
That actually is a great point. I think looking at the bans that they had, Front Nation actually banned out Miraidon, which its passive electrical terrain actually is a great counter towards Darkrai, because no member of your team in the terrain can actually go to bed or fall asleep, right? The other Pokemon comes to mind is Wiggly. I mean, we saw a bit of Wiggly today in the NA qualifiers, and Wiggly having their Starlight Recital being such a good cleanse and now recently buffed as well could be a good pick, and it might be the frontline tanky defender role that you're looking for as well, just to provide that early game assistance to help out Espeon as well. I mean, plenty of, I guess, ideas we have, but there's a reason we're in this seat and they're playing, Kyle, so let's see what they're going to be cooking up. Either way, I think
we're professional yappers.
Yeah, we're just yappers.
We do that better. We're really good at that.
but I think we do provide some valid points for them to think about, and yet again, it can go any way. Front Nation had an incredible fight yesterday to take down Bruff Esports in the it's to qualify for the top 4 in the winners. So they're definitely a team that has demonstrated they are resilient enough. They came back from a 0-1 deficit as well. So, I mean, if they can repeat what they did yesterday and see what they can take down the Titan, that's AXO.
We'll see. Antic looked fantastic in game number 1. I don't know. That looks like a tough team to beat. Obviously, both teams coming out of the winner's side of the bracket, but like you said, I think we were talking in the pre-show, Antic was unable to compete last month, so they're just kind of picking up. They're getting ready for EUIC, so very exciting stuff for them.
I think EUIC is going to be a whole nother world, right? When you go up against international players, just watching the difference between regions and what people like to play. I mean, OC is so separated from the rest of the region, right? At least NA and EU, they're kind of in the same portion of the world, whereas OC, we really have to get inspiration from watching these, I guess, bigger regions play. There are more players that can show off a variety of different things. Just an example, I think we were watching Team YT this morning, and Gardevoir, obviously, Sosat-san, one of their comfort Pokemons. We don't really have too many Gardevoir players in our region that are going to be playing it on that level, and sometimes it feels like it's even not worth it to give it a go, because you have to be incredibly good on that Pokemon in order to bring it to light. And Gardevoir, we know, not the strongest to go the bot path, and if you go into the central area, it's very prone to invades as well.
Yeah, it's a little tough, right? I think the buffs that it received in the latest patch are warranted. It's doesn't so help the early path phase.
Yeah.
But it does help, if you're able to have a nice XP share, you can get to that level 7 relatively easily if you don't get, completely gapped by the opposing side. I think it's a really nice buff, but yeah, routes as a Pokemon itself still really tough in the laning phase. I mean, as long as you could get to level 5, and that's a big if by the 850s, you're in really good shape. But like you said, it can get bullied really early on. So you have to be really good at timing those last hits with the confusion, or with or timing your boosted basics with that teleport, and really staggering that well. So it can be a little tricky, but I think it's a really good Pokemon. It's great mage. big team engage with the Fairy Singularity, but you have to be good at it.
Yeah, as long as you're not uniting the pavement, I think it definitely will be able to do a little bit of damage. And thanks to our mod Shavan, we've got note of the bracket update between the lower set, which is the Natu's Revenge against Tim's Children, and Natu's Revenge taking the first game off them. And looking at the API, we are able to see some of the Pokemons that they are picking, and we have Sylveon that was picked out from Natu's Revenge, so that's a Pokemon we don't see too often anymore, as well as a Blaziken coming back in, and Slowbro, which is another Pokemon that isn't too played or played too often in this region. And people are preferring the Umbreon, the Trevenant, and even the Snorlax, or in our case, what we just witnessed, Tinkaton as your frontline.
The other thing I'm seeing of this is the team that won used 3 defenders. They got Trevenant, Umbreon, and Snorlax, and on top of that, they're throwing Serena, which is another all-rounder, relatively tanky with the amount of shields that it gets, and then Sylveon, like you said. But it's not just any Sylveon. It went Mystical Fire, Draining Kiss, so tanky in its own right. So that team just lived forever, I'd imagine. And looking at the stats, seems about right.
Yeah, it takes inspiration to when MIS went for the 5 defender comps in one of the grassroots. And I think in this region, it's all about running at you now. I think that the teams that put up a draft with 2 backline attackers really struggle into that. But we've got, it seems like we've got the game going up for everybody as we have a second game for AXO against Font Nation. So we're going to switch out to that really quickly, ladies and gentlemen. I'm keen to see what they bring in to the table. And for Font Nation, there's work to do because it is do or die here, isn't it? A lot of stakes for them.
Yeah, they don't want to go down to the lower side bracket. Obviously, being in the top bracket currently, it is favorable for them. So they have an opportunity, even if they do lose, to come back through the grand finals. But game number 2, Anticodium, still going to be on your left side. Fountain Nation on your right side, and it is 1-0.
1-0 to the good of Exodium, and we have now Invader on that Trevor this time, no Tinkaton, and DC going to picking up their comfort Pokemon, that's Sobble, down in the bottom path.
Ooh, great secure abilities on Sobble, and Invader being true to the name and going for a little bit of an invade and looking at this belt.
Yeah, Invader is known to like living in the central area of the opponent's team. So they're going to be very comfortable here. And they've actually dragged Kieran to help out Kirby. And it's all about delaying now, though. Whether you get the farm or not, it's up to them. They're actually going to be able to escape with the red buff. But whether they get punished or not, Kyle, is for us to see. Invader trying their best to hide away, see what they can get away with a Houdini act. But Fontation at the end of the day will punish for that. Well, I think the damage might have been already done.
They did exactly what they needed to do. They stalled out this time, and that's going to award Antic with all that Altaria family. So, well done from Invader.
Invader able to help out, especially when you have a Comfey in the top part. It's a little bit slower, right, than your Hooper, which can provide a lot of assistance with the A-Press. Meanwhile, there's a battle of the Altara in the bottom path, but here comes Anon with the buff from Liz on the Comfey, able to knock out Cobb, and they're looking for more now. On a level 6, having a level advantage might mean that Kirby goes down here. Kirby's trying the best to get back to the home pad, but that's going to be a Chaos Strictly 2 for our supporter player on AXO.
We love to see it, yeah, and that's exactly what you want to see out of this Ceruledge Comfey combo. Put the foot on the gas. Do not let up. You want to continue this onslaught. You want to continue the oppression that you're putting on the map, and that's exactly what they've been doing. AXO Invader definitely wants to get online here, so looking to take the Altaria thing.
All these Altaras going on to Invader is very strong for them, and it's going to be up to DC to defend the bottom pad against 3 members. Not going to be able to do too much as long as they can stay on the field, because Invader will be back now. Level 5, having access to their Wood Hammer, will be able to help out a little bit. Anon with a nice little dash, able to take out Kieran. And, I mean, they're up to a close level 9 there with a Chaos Streak of 2. Might have access to Revenant Ren very soon.
Very soon indeed. Gonna get a nice little Dunkaroo. down in this basement path. And with this pocket Comfey, you got to start worrying if you're Font Nation. You're going to need to find it. There it is. There's that Revenant Ren looking to take one, not two, maybe a third here in a second.
They are going to be going on hacking with the Bitter Blade as well. This is a move that can help you stay sustained, and when you have a Comfey as well, it just seems like you become more of that, even like a defender-esque in terms of your HP. A lot of the times when people go in to try to contest Cerule Edge, they forget that there's actually another player on it to help out, so a 1v2 is not the most favorite situations for Nation to be in, so they need to play as a team, and with 2 pads broken, this is another dominant start for Antic.
They have an additional objective here, which is this Regieleki in the top half. That's going to put even more pressure for Font Nation, and not as the previous game went. You have the Hoopa on Font Nation's side, so they are losing pads, and that's not what you want if you're a Hoopa player.
No, it's not. It seems like Heyo might be caught out here as well. A 3v1 will send them to Nurse Joy for a little bit. They don't have a Blastoise inside of Font Nation, so they're definitely going to struggle with this defense. The Zorospy Vision comes out from DC, and Anon will be getting another KO streak of 2. And with those scores going in, this top pad is in a dire need of a defense, but left on 2 is going to be Invader. I mean, is it even worth fighting this anymore? As another Revenant Ren through will dash through Font Nation, setting the precedent that it is a team to watch out for. And AXO just returning very strongly and perhaps even more dominant than the first game.
Yeah, they're really dominating this match in all facets. Serena gonna utilize another Unite move. I mean, look at these levels. Like, even their supporter are the same level of Font Nation's carry Pokemon. And Font Nation just hasn't been able to find any sort of KOs right now. So unless they're able to find a couple of crucial picks soon, this is gonna be one of the freest games for Antic Odium. So you gotta find a way to take down this Cerule Edge. You're gonna have to play as a team because that's your only option at this point.
I agree. I think the benefit for Font Nation, at least, is that in this game, the comeback mechanic is so large in terms of you can just get a nice KO on someone. You'll be able to get back your levels, right? But Anon picking off Mewtwo yet again will allow them to peek into that level 13 at the 4-minute 30 mark, and it's a really scary situation to be in now. Kieran trying to defend this pad against 3 members. We have the return of Fontation, but it just doesn't seem like they have the capacity to fight anything at the moment. I want to see them capture some of these wild Pokemon. Maybe those Indeedys up in that top path, or at least that Regieleki. It's just not worth going to any more engagements.
No, not even a little bit. You need to find value across the map somewhere. You're going to have to offlane. You're going to have to find a goal in the offlane and then defend Regieleki. I don't like this fight right now. It looks like Antic Odium doesn't get there in time, so you do get a nice little win here, but I don't know. I don't know, Fu. They need a KO.
They definitely need a KO. We have the Hydro Typhoon to go through, but a nice little snipe from DC will delete Kieran. And there goes Fontation as well in the hands of Joe. Cobb also goes down after going Rings Unbound, and maybe this Unbound is more of a trap set by AXO, because that is going to be a team wipe, it seems, and Kirby not even going to be jumping close to them anymore. They understand the mission now is to grab some of these Pokemons. I mean, they're in a dire need for some levels, and time is running out, isn't it?
Yeah, Invader might have gotten their hands caught in the cookie jar. They're going to try to get away, but might be a little bit too little too late. No, the rest of the team responds, and this is not looking good for Font Nation. This Metagross is going to try to do their best to utilize those Gyro Balls, give themselves some shields, but there's just too many of them. Antic Odium is playing as 5s right now.
They definitely are. This is now yet again a game for EXO to lose. Anon maybe caught out there, might get punished. Finally, you'd think. No, there's no side strike. It was on cooldown for Fontation. And with a 360 snipe from DC, there goes Aegis Slash. A portal to save the team. They should not come back here, Kyle. It is not a good fight. They need to go back in and farm some of their levels.
Don't do it. It's a trap. There is a basement Reggie that's going to spawn. Again, I don't think if you're Font Nation that you go here. This would have been a really good opportunity, knowing the timers on the clock, right? They could have potentially just gone and tried to break that T1 pad top. Instead, they are going to set up in Rayquaza, but they could have potentially got a nice cap there and give themselves some extra padding on their levels, because they definitely need it.
The mantra for Font Nation is going to be, when there is a Ray, there is a way, and perhaps a ripping of the Rayquaza could be on the table right here. They do have the Coup de Grace from the Aegislash for the secure. Also, Hooper, with their Rings Unbound, may be able to do a backup play. Just trying to think of some strategies Font Nation can do to come back into this game. 400 points going to be the disparity. Hooper nearly going down to the snipe, saved by the Portal, and they're going to come back in, and this is the engagement they're looking for. Quickly Ascendant going to Kirby straight away, and a nice little Hydro Typhoon trying to knock up Trevenant, but Trevenant won't be able to stay strong there, and with a pressing Inteleon, that's going to be a team wipe off on Nation. There's going to be a new king in this nation. It's going to be AXO.
AXO heading to your grand finals in dominating fashion. Inteleon getting their 100-point dunk in. All of these 100-point dunks are about to be dunked on into the home base, but you don't even need it right now. I mean, 750 to 74. I mean, they're tenfold taking over this match, and it's going to be tough to take down this team. If this is the winners finals bracket match, I am terrified for any team that wants to take down or even attempt to take down Antic EXO.
Yeah, I think Team EXO came in with a mission not only to win this game in a dramatic fashion, but also send a message, right, for the rest of the team. They weren't able to play the January Cup, but it's more like, hey, we might be gone for a month, but we're back and we're stronger than ever. And I'm coming through with another Revenant Rend to delete off KO. And like you said, they're going to be securing their spot in the grand finals there. So it's going to be up to Font Nation and the winner of Slim Children against Nautilus's Revenge to secure themselves one more chance to go up. But if this is the bar that's been set, it's very scary, right, for the rest of the team.
Very scary indeed. Winners finals, Antic Odium moving forward in dominating fashion here in game number 2. I don't think there was a single question this entire match on if they were in control or not. I mean, Fu, look at these numbers across the board. Only 3 KOs for Font Nation that entire match, and Antic Odium showed you exactly the type of team they are and why they're representing OC at EUIC.
Yeah, just the battle report as well. It just paints the picture, right? At no point in time, it seemed like Font Nation had any opportunity to come back in. Few hundred Ks on the side of AXO, Anon, Joe, and also DC picking them up. And just the ratio that DC has brought in, 16,000 damage taken only. It was just really hard, right, for Font Nation to actually access the backline, to go through Liz on either Joe or Anon from the get-go. I mean, they have one more chance. Don't get me wrong, but for now, it is going to be EXO standing on a confident throne in the grand finals.
Yeah, they're not done, right? Font Nation, I mean, they're in the winner side, right? This is the first match that they've lost this tournament. It's something to hang their head on. It's a lesson to be learned. It's try to figure out, how you're going to attack Antic Odium if you're able to claw yourself back into the grand finals. I mean, you've had 2 games. You understand what their game plan is. You need to find something for yourself on how do we attack it. Maybe we find something to kind of combat this double all-rounder composition that they love. Maybe you find something to jump on that Inteleon. You didn't really have a speedster to really attack them and put pressure. I mean, you look at that 101k damage dealt, but the thing that I'm more impressed with from that Inteleon, only 16k taken. That means that they were barely sneezed on. So there's a lot of problems that Antic Odium caused for Font Nation, but you have to figure out what your strategy is if you get the opportunity to take them down again.
That's exactly right, but before they get the chance to do that, they've got to earn it, and they're going to be going up against Nautilus's Revenge, because looking at the bracket, Nautilus's Revenge have beaten Slim's Children 2-0 as well, so a clean sweep for both these teams in today's first set, the winners finals and the losers semifinals. And we're going to take a short break, ladies and gentlemen, as we get prepared for the next set. That's going to be Nautilus's Revenge against Font Nation. Don't go anywhere. Get your snacks bucket up full again. Go to the bathroom if you need. Hydrate. We'll be right back. See you guys very soon. Welcome back, everyone, to the February Cup finals for the OC region. I'm here with Lobo and Steel Agent Kyle. We had a very, very nice set that we just watched in the winners bracket, but we're going to be moving down to the lower bracket. One more set to go before the grand finals. It's going to be Natsu's Revenge against Font Nation. Now, we spectated Font Nation already, but Natsu's Revenge haven't had a chance to introduce them today. Kyle, do you want to do the honors to let us know who is on that team? What is their roster?
Yeah, Natu is getting some revenge today. I'm calling it right now. You got Joker, Ziggery, Hart, Tom One, Hagu, and then Engine Hacks. I believe they're going to be their sub today. I'm really excited to see what this team is able to accomplish. From what I've seen, either yesterday or some of the previous cups, I do like the way they play. So excited to get to commentate for this next match.
Yeah, they are a very consistent team, a team formed just this year, but they've been practicing a lot and able to play some interesting comps as well. They really like changing it up and not just playing the most meta Pokemon in the field so far. And looking at the January Cup, they did come second. Went down to Bruff Esports in the grand finals, and they actually went through the winners last time. So this is definitely a different kind of scene for them. There's no safety net anymore. It's about if you can win this set, you have to earn your spot in the grand finals. But if they do somehow win this set, they will be literally the most consistent because they've become second, and I'm sure they want to improve on this result and go into the number one category. Lobo, we know a lot of the players there as our friends on that team. Do you have any predictions going into Font Nation rather? Who takes it out between these two?
It's kind of hard to tell, to be honest, because I like the way both of these teams play. Very unique players, very unique play style. They, like you said, they try not to go for the full meta comps and pick other Pokemon around it. We saw yesterday Ziggery pulling out the Greninja as well, but also known for their Trevenant, the very front-heavy damage Trevenant, which we love to see. And so we're super excited to see anything that they're able to play. Fontation able to bring out Inteleon and really support the team from the back, whereas Leader Kirby leading from the front as well. So I don't know, two really great play styles, two really great teams, I think, that are quite, I want to say, beloved in our OS region, because we've got the team of Rank Warriors as well as the team of again, another team of Rank Warriors that have been around for quite a long time, and it's so great to actually see them come forward. And now they're fighting for second and third place, which is so great to see, man. It's really hard to put a number on. I don't think I really want to put it. I'm not actually going to bow to the pressure this time, Fu. I'm not actually going to pick a winner for this. I'm just hoping for a good match, and honestly, I'm hoping for a 3-game set.
I think, speaking of the different comps that they can bring out, I do remember Ziggery being on Draining Kiss Clef yesterday. So whether they pull that out, we'll get to see. You guys will be bringing us the action for there. As we get the game started, though, I think, I do want to see Natsu's Revenge have a chance to take the crown this month, just because they've been so close over the past 3 cups. However, Font Nation, like you said, another very beloved team in our region. They've been working very hard, and it would be cool to see them have one more shot against Antic Exodium in the grand finals as well. But just thinking about what the comps they can play, looking at the API for their game in number 2, they brought out the Sword from Ziggery and Hagu on the Wicked Blow Urshifu, so that's pretty common. But they also had Joker on the Ho-Oh, which is a defender we haven't seen in eons, it seems like, since the release. Do you have much experience with Ho-Ohs in the NA region, Kyle?
You've seen a few teams utilize it. One of the top performing teams, Kiss Kiss, loves to utilize that Pokemon. Saw Nemesis drop it a couple of times today as well. I think Ho-Oh is in an interesting spot. It can't always play the role that it's assigned to as that traditional tank, because the Unite move offers so much utility. So it offers a big engage and it gets targeted down, you're often the first to fall, so you can't even use that Unite move. So teams tend to play it in a sense where they're going to be really aggressive at the start with the rest of their Pokemon, and then Ho-Oh will come in and revive them, and then it's, okay, we're just going to refight. That's kind of what we see a lot of teams do, because you don't want to be on the wrong end of the Ho-Oh it being the first to fall, especially at Rayquaza.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the teams they struggle with that because it, like you said, is a defender. So a lot of times people get into mindset as, oh, I'm a defender, I need to go in, I need to check vision. It's okay if I get caught out, but exactly as you mentioned, if Ho-Oh is the first one to fall, well, your second chance at a refight is just gonna go back with it to the Pokemon Center. So I think for the teams that like Ho-Oh a lot, they like to draft another defender just to have that front line, maybe soak up some of the damage. But we're going to have the game up ready to go. And Lobo and Kyle, take it away.
Oh, thank you, Fu. Kyle, it is you and me, my friend. I feel like it's been an age since you and I have had a chance to cast a game together, and I'm really excited, mate. But let's check out these lineups heading on right into the matchup.
Alrighty, yeah, we're going to have a Zoroark on the side of Foundation. Really excited to see how they're able to bring this thing out. Along with that Garchomp Hoopa in the top lane, and not to use Revenge, they're going to go with that Serena.
Yeah, surprisingly enough, not seeing Hoopa take that red buff as we're so common to seeing, because the Hoopa with a red buff inside that top path is able to put so much pressure. Doesn't look like it needs it, but Eldegoss has taken the red buff this time yeah, and I think that just helps out Balance Sweep from getting taken out.
Oh, for sure. I love the early game pressure that an Eldegoss is able to provide. They do almost go down there, so that could have been pretty scary, but the A-press pressure that it can do, the amount of slows, it's a very great early on.
Now switching to the bottom side, speaking of pressure, we've got Doublade hacking and slashing their way through. Unfortunately, Phantom just has to pop that eject button to really escape. Middle Altaria is coming up, Kyle, and we've got both central areas in the bot path for a change.
3v3 in this bot path. Zoroark gonna dive on in and look to take a KO in 2. They're gonna grab the Sobble. Gonna look for a score, but instead they're gonna find that second KO.
Yeah, as we go into that top path, 2 KO streak, Gabite is in a bit of a problem. Sword is gonna be taken down. Oh no, it takes down the Miraidon in return.
That was impressive work from that Aegislash. That's exactly how you want to start if you're Natu's Revenge. You find a couple of crucial KOs on that Zoroark, and all of a sudden this sword is already online. It is an Aegislash.
Level 7 access to that White Guard. Joker's in a bit of a spot there, but gets taken down by electric power of Foundation. Serena's online inside that top path, Kyle, looking to push on Dropkick on access, but Hoopa sets Gabite back, and they're just going to reset that as Aegislash takes all of that middle farm, but not without consequence.
Oh yeah, Aegislash just barely getting on out of the dodge, and we're going to see how Natu's Revenge really wants to line up. I mean, Serena trying to get a nice little 30 cap there, but Natu's Revenge, I think they're pretty happy with where they're standing. Aegislash probably going to get their Unite move by this first objective.
Zoroark is in here trying to hunt down Serena. Drop kicks out. Hagu's still safe. Got a little bit of shield, but Ziggurat in a bit of bother here, getting tanked down by that Charge Beam, but does not hesitate to head in. Charge Beam's gonna head. Ziggurat in a bit of space here. Slashes his way out. Manages to take down Trevor. Pops to the Wide Guard. Avoids the Charge Beam.
Oh
nice
gosh.
positionally play from Natu's Revenge.
Man, Ziggurat on this Aegislash looks fantastic. They're timing their Wide Guards perfectly, getting the extra defensive from that stance change. It's just a masterclass of how to play this Pokemon, knowing when to be in which form. So looking pretty good. They have their Unite move. Basement Reggie is ready, but the Zoroark looming in the tall grass.
Kieran is going to try and Hornet Leech in. Miraidon managing to secure Regieleki inside that top path. Both teams kind of split, fighting on their own front lines here. But Ziggurat here to stop the scoop from going in. Doesn't matter. Regieleki walks in. The coup de grace! Beautifully timed coup de grace to take down Gabite. Now Miraidon is going to be stuck. It's stunned by the Wide Guard. 2 KO streak for Ziggurat. Are they going to go in with the Zoroark? I think they might. Oh, Zoroark pops the Unite move, and it's a battle in the top path. Hack and slash duel going on from Kyle.
my gosh. I am loving the sword play here. Ziggury looking fantastic on that thing. While they may be a little bit down in the point category, the levels are looking fantastic. They're getting KOs left and right, and it's just a matter of time until they break some goals, and there it is, that top goal zone finally down for Natsu's Revenge.
We're only just seeing it now, but Blastoise Joker has decided to go that Rapid Spin Hydro Pump moveset, which I actually really like, providing that extra stun when when the Hydro Pump comes out. But now Regirock finally going to get some attention as Natsu's Revenge are heading on in.
Gonna start chipping it down for Garchomp. Gonna look for a secure on Miraidon. They're gonna use that enhanced charge beam, but it's gonna be Blastoise that takes it down. Eldegoss is gonna try to heal the rest of the team.
Unfortunately, Hydro Typhoon got dodged by everyone as they sent back. Bright Future Meteor Storm is going to rain down from the skies. Hagu is looking to put pressure on Miraidon. On the opposite end, Ziggury takes down Zoroark. And now Natsu's Revenge going to pile on the pressure, Kyle.
Yeah, that's exactly what you got to do. Garchomp looking to get in the back line. I love this Unite move from them. They are able to take down the Inteleon. We're going to look for this Blastoise, but they perfectly pop that Rapid Spin combo. Keep them from getting scooped and scored. But fantastic plays, tempo plays here for Natsu's Revenge as another triple KO comes in from Ziggury.
3 KO streak into the Quinley Ascendant. Miraidon gets taken down as well. Hornleech is here. Zoroark is back. Coup de grace hits its mark on the retreating Zoroark. Hooper's Portal's going to bring Garchomp down. They're here. There's a constant battle going on, Kyle. Ziggury might finally get felled, but no, uses the beautiful boosted into the wide guard.
I think they like this Pokemon. I'm going to go out on a whim and say they're having a good time because it definitely looks like it, feels like it. I'm enjoying watching this play. We'll see how Font Nation tries to come back here. I think catching this Aegislash is going to be an absolute lead.
Beautiful engage with the eject Hydro Typhoon into the Rapid Spin Hydro Pump. Ziggury has popped the wide guard once again. The damage is raining down. And I think that's going to be an even break. An even break, but 60 points ahead. 3 minutes 45 on the clock, Kyle. Maybe. I think this top Regieleki's been sitting there for a while.
It just wants a little bit of attention. No one's paying attention to it. I do think that Natsu's Revenge might have griefed themselves a little bit there. They could have potentially maximized their overcaps. I believe someone was holding 45, so they lose by 45 points. There's going to be some questions. There's going to be some talk in this VOD, but they should be able to take this Regieleki, no problem.
I mean, I guess with all of the fighting that they had to do in that that bottom pad, maybe the mentality was to just get rid of it. I don't know, but Joker is here to defend this Reggie on the bottom. We didn't quite get a good look at it, but it does not matter. Natsu's Revenge just want to go for this top path as there's 3 of them here. Garchomp jumps down. 3 minutes on the clock. Don't want to unite move, but Serena does. Queenly is sending into the limit. Outrage. Regieleki is on the teetering on the edge, Kyle.
Oh man, and it goes into adding insult to injury. You have multiple Pokemon without Unite moves, and you still lose the goal for Font Nation. So massive misplay for them. They're gonna have to be climbing an uphill battle by Ray. Getting a KO on Blastoise, that is a fantastic start though. They have to get something here though.
They are going to get some counter stacks in. 26 seconds until Rayquaza spawns. Not sure if Natsu's Revenge are too concerned about the scoreline because, Kyle, they have got a level 15 Aegislash.
That's going to be tough to deal with, especially at Rayquaza, especially when it's able to balance the stance form changes like Ziggury has been able to all game long. They're going to have massive positioning here for this Rayquaza. Font Nation's going to try to walk in through the choke, but they're going to get found out by Natsu's Revenge.
Serena, Hagu on the Serena with the drop kick, able to put that slow. They find Trevenant, avoid the Hornleech, but I think it's now just a time to seize each other out because the onus is on Font Nation to make the first move.
They need to. Yeah, Natsu's Revenge in full control. They can just wait back and try to figure this out. Zoroark looks for an engage, but thinks twice of it. They saw several Pokemon in the tall grass there.
Ziggury finds Trevenant, Livid Outrage into the Phantom Forest, Hydro Typhoon, Cotton Crowd Crash, all the Unite moves are going down, Hooper comes unbound, the Bright Future Meteor Storm rains onto Thea, Sky Ruins, Hydro Pump, Rapid Spin almost catches Trevenant out. Hagu still alive, 2 members down, Zoroark and Garchomp are down for the side of Font Nation, and Inteleon. Tomwon is chasing down Flotation with a beautiful snipe shot. Holy! I think there are 3 members down, and look at the intelligent play right now from Natu's Revenge. They didn't go for the rip.
Pun intended. Pun intended. Intelligent from the Inteleon. How fitting. Natu's Revenge. In full control, though.
I was gonna say that was intentional, but
it was good. It was good. We're gonna say it was intentional. Don't take that away from yourself, Lobo. That was fantastic. Natu's Revenge in full control. They have a 100+ point lead, so they could go for a cap. They can just hold this out, but it's Font Nation that needs to go.
Yeah, we're going in for another refight. Trevenant is dangerously low, does miss the Hooper portal, and who takes it? It is Ziggury, managing to secure the big green dragon. Woo! Nice play by Natu's Revenge.
Natu's Revenge looked fantastic all match long, and on the back of that Aegislash pick. I mean, I think Ziggury played that to perfection. There's that one play they did go down at Rayquaza, but I think they got the KOs that they needed for that to not be a big deal. And then, that's why you play a team game. Inteleon cleaning up the scraps, getting those KOs. So wonderful job here for Natu's Revenge to take game number 1 of your losers finals.
Oh my days. I mean, in the previous game that you and Fu got to watch, we saw Joe hit, I believe, 20 kills, or was it a non-hitting 20 KOs? And Ziggury just hit 17. But up until that Rayquaza fight, I think about 120 points between the teams. But oh my days. What a statement from Natu's Revenge taking game number 1, Kyle. What do Font Nation have to change going into game 2?
I mean, I still like the bans that they had. I mean, Font Nation ban, obviously we're switched here because of the spectate function, but that's okay. But Font Nation, they banned the Umbreon, they banned the Psyduck, and you had the Blissey or She ban on the opposite side. So I think the bans were fine. But the thing about Aegislash is it thrives into busting the tanks. It shreds it. That additional buff that it received in the most recent patch is really helpful in knocking through that maximum HP. I believe it was like 1.5%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're doing it like 3-4 times from those boosted autos, that adds up. So Trevenant was having a really tough time staying alive. Garchomp also kind of relatively tanky in their own right. That's hard to really survive. And then Hoopo in there unbound. So Ziggury just playing that to perfection. So you're going to have to find something to kind of slow that thing down. It tends to struggle with a lot of crowd control. So see if they can maybe throw like maybe a Alolan Ninetales, something like that can be really deadly to something like Aegislash.
I really want to just talk about Joker for a minute. The Hydro Pump Rapid Spin, I think, was a brilliant call here because you're just able to stun out either Hayo or Kirby coming in with any of their moves and just keep them just like, I want to say break their combo play, right? And so I think that was super helpful heading on into this comp, and that allowed, and you saw the damage across all of the attackers with Serena, with Hago on the Serena, with Ziggury on the Aegislash, and Tomon on the Inteleon. Their damage numbers were all across the board fairly close to each other. So really nice team play. And I think that was really allowed by Joker's Hydro Spin. It's Hydro Spin. I'm just gonna call it Hydro Spin.
Hydro Spin. I like it.
And then a beautiful KO. You don't really see Inteleon chasing down a Miraidon, right? And a beautiful KO in that bottom path there. So I'm really excited to see how game number 2 goes. Any predictions? But thoughts so far on this losers final match?
I'm just impressed by the Aegislash. I'm impressed by Ziggury. So I wonder if that's going to earn themselves a target ban in this next match. I mean, time will tell. But I'm interested to see what else they're able to break out here, right? If they're able to play a Pokemon that's a little bit more technical, like an Aegislash, I'm excited to see how they play some of the other Pokemon that they're probably relatively proficient at. I mean, what did they play? What did they play in the other matches? I think they played Ag in both. They played Trevenant in
Yes,
in
that's the one I
game
was going to
one
mention
of the
to you.
previous. So maybe they could break out another like tanky top laner. I mean, there's
Mm.
so many options up there.
I think that's what we're mentioning to you. Ziguri has a very fondness for that Trevenant that plays very aggressively from the front, with I believe Curse Hornleech, and just being able to do such good amounts of damage. But we also saw them pull out the Greninja yesterday
Ooh.
as well. So and I think Fu and I were explaining it, that I think the pockets of these players is so deep with the Pokemon that they're able to play. So I'm excited to see. I'm also excited to see how Font Nation decides to respond, because we know they are a team that can respond well under this kind of pressure. So I was hoping for a game 3 situation. I think, Kyle, after that first game, I think you're hoping the same, aren't you?
I mean, you got to find a way in if you're Font Nation. You know, you lost the first 2 matches up to in the winner's side final to Antic Odium. And now you find yourself in a 1-0 hole here in the loser's final. So you've lost 3 games in a row, but you got to keep your heads up. You got to keep your mental polished, and you have to be ready here, because it's win or go home at this point. So you're going to have to find a way to win game number 2 here, force that game 3, because you want to get your chance at revenge. You don't want the last game against Antic Odium to be what that last one was. So I fully expect Font Nation to kind of come back here, put the pedal to the metal, and get off to an early lead. We'll see what picks they come out with, though.
Funny enough, I just have to mention, because in that game they had up against Antic X Odium, they also had to go up against a very dangerous Serena and Aegislash combination in that second game. And then I think they just had to face it again this time around. So I have a feeling maybe Font Nation is just kind of sick of seeing the Aegislash and the Serena. So maybe just ban it out. Maybe just don't want to deal with it anymore. But again, you know, sometimes it's not as simple as that. So I'm actually, Super King, we're just waiting to get these 2 teams started into this game number 2. This is losers final. So it is winners go home. Font Nation sent down to the losers by losing to Antic Odium in the winners final. Nati's Revenge, felling Stim's Children to make their way here. These teams are strong, Kyle. And I think just seeing the level that these teams are OCE, because you've joined us in OCE for this season. How are you feeling just seeing these teams progress through each monthly cup?
You got to feel pretty good, right? It's a smaller region, so you got to get a little bit more familiar with these teams. And I mean, I was very impressed by Antic Odium. I was impressed by Natsu's Revenge, the first few tournaments that I was able to watch them, and seeing them progress here, getting to see them again, man, I was really impressed by Ziguri. So I mean, you got to ride that hot hand. Maybe you ride the sword once more, but you got to watch out for, you know, what Font Nation is gonna, you know, throw right at you, because they have their eyes on you now. You have the full attention of that squad. They're gonna look for a way to take you down. How do you maintain your composure? How do you stay upright? Because they're gonna send everything at Ziguri.
I was going to ask you, I was definitely going to ask you, do you have any players, as we watch these games, there are obviously players that we kind of gravitate to as casters that are just such a joy to watch. Obviously, Ziguri is an incredible player, and they've really come to the forefront for Nati's Revenge. On the other teams, maybe Antic X Odium that you got to watch in the previous one, and maybe even Font Nation now. Are there any players that now you're like, I need to keep an eye on that player?
Play steel type Pokemon and I'll keep my eye on you. That's the name of the game. No, but I mean, seriously. But no, I mean, Antic Odium looked fantastic, right? Like, there's so many good players. Anonymous was incredible. I loved how Invader was true to their name. They continually put pressure on the opposing opponent's central area on their side of the map, making sure that they get vision. And I think that's just so valuable in this game, where you don't know where the opponent is. So being able to at least call out how many are in a certain path, getting pressure on them, and then even taking some of their wild Pokemon experience away from them, it provides so much value, which is why, you know, Antic Odium is in the grand finals right now, waiting for the winner of this match.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're still taking a little bit longer to get set up into game number 2. That's okay. These players need a chance because there is a lot on the line here, Kyle. Heading on and Anti-Gex Odium. What do you think? How do you think they're feeling inside that grand finals? They're waiting for these two teams to duke it out each other. They've got a little bit more time to wait. Do you think they're feeling the pressure? You think they're just chilling? Because after that first performance that they had, they must be feeling quite good. But sorry, I'm going to cut you off myself because I do think we have game available. Quick thoughts on my question. Sorry.
I think they got to feel confident, right? I mean, they
Yeah.
looked fantastic that last set, and I mean, I think you got to be a little bit cautious of feeling overconfident because you still have, another set to win, right? You still have to finish the job. But let's look at these Pokemon comps here. We're gonna have Font Nation. They're gonna be taking the Miraidon for themselves, along with that Hoopa, Ceruledge, Kirby
Mm.
on that champion Buzzwole.
Yeah, but no H slash this time.
Yep.
So I'm very keen to see the bands after this one. Front Nation's going to be on your purple side. Orange is going to be not. And it's time. Front Nation, let's see if they can mount a comeback. Central area is kind of what we expected, but Zeri's going to go into that top lane all by itself until it's joined by a Eldegoss with a red buff.
Eldegoss with a red buff is one of my favorite things to see. It already offers a lot of slows with its kit, but you add that red buff to it, it makes it a path demon, being able to slow down any sort of stacking that Buzzwole would like to have.
100%. And now also Joker on a Psyduck is also somewhat of a joke because he's just going to put so much pressure on you. Ziguri is here. Going to put some pressure.
Ooh.
Goes in. That's it. We told you they like to play aggressive with that Trevenant. Hooper has to force the eject. Ziguri's going to try and get 2 stacks in. Unable to be stopped by Buzzwole, but Hayo is here on the Ceruledge, but Hagu is also here on the Steenie.
There's the bad part of being a little maybe too aggressive there is Trevenant does go down. Like you said, they do like playing aggressive, but sometimes you pay the price for it, and that's a perfect example because now Font Nation putting the pressure on.
Yeah, but Zikri is here again. 3 members up. Ceruledge is very strong. A little bit of, I want to say a little bit, a little bit overpowered compared to Steenie, but Buzzwole in a bit of problem. Does not matter. Nachi's Revenge, fire back, Kyle.
Tree, aggressive, tree, aggressive. I wanted to say it. I had to say it.
No, I love it. I love it, man. I absolutely love it. But inside the bottom part, Snorlax, Miraidon, actually a strong composition. Going up against a Psyduck and a Drizzle right now is exactly what they want to see. But we're going to head into those middle Altarias. Cobb is going to make their way there first. Hagu is here. But I think Psyduck's going to make sure that Snorlax doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, this is looking still pretty good for Natu's Revenge. Serena getting chunked down by this Miraidon could be a problem. Does have a pretty nice shield on it, but the other thing that you gotta be aware of if you're Natu's Revenge, you need to get this Inteleon online. As I say that, they get their level 7, so imagine we're gonna see a snipe shot here.
No, I wouldn't want to see liquidation into
Please,
this one,
no.
especially looking down a charge beam. But 3 members inside that top part, that can change just as quickly. I think yeah, Cobb is playing the hyperspace hole, so Hoover Highway is on lock for the side of Font Nation. A much more, I think, even game as those middle Atarias go. Charge beam's just gonna soak them all away, Kyle.
Ooh, and the Psyduck gets chunked down by the Miraidon and closed out by the Hoopa. Snorlax does a great job of continually put, frontline pressure to make sure this Inteleon is not going to be able to shoot this Miraidon with a snipe shot. So really smart micro decisions from Font Nation. That might award them this basement Registeel.
Registeel is exactly what you want to see here, but with an Inteleon lurking, Psyduck has to find it. Oh, what a snipe from Tomwan to steal that away, and that also manages to take down the Snorlax as well. How quickly a game can turn on its heads.
Oh, from downtown even. Looking fantastic on that James Pond. Now Psyduck is going to utilize their Unite move, maybe put a little bit of pressure on this T1 pad for Natu's Revenge.
Oh, Bubble07 is reporting for duty. Beautiful KOs followed up by Joker with the surf. to really put the pressure on. And Natu's Revenge have turned this game around because inside that top pad as well, that tier 1 is gone. The combination of Hagu and Ziguri is so deadly when they get moving, Kyle.
Regieleki will be a nice little reward here for Natu's Revenge. It's going to put a pressure on that T2 pad. It's going to allow Natu's Revenge to continue to farm up their wild Pokemon experience on their side of the map. There's so much of it, so I don't foresee a push here, but again, Tree aggressive. They're looking to maybe line it up.
Tree aggressive. The grass types. Oh, no. Buzzwole says, sit down. You are not going to be aggressive on my watch, but Ziguri is still there, followed by Eldegoss. Now they've got their sights set on Cerulege, who just flame charges away. And now maybe, I think Ziguri has finally decided to make me think, it's time to get on out here.
Yeah, might as well, you know. You're doing such a great job. Unite move coming out from Eldegoss, but Hoopa is able to send Buzzwole back to the Pokemon Center via Hyperspace Hole. Unfortunately for them, though, it's Inteleon that closes out the KO there.
Beautiful Revenant Ren to take down Psyduck. Now, I believe Font Nation are going to take away that tier 1, but it does not matter. Jump Pad's only just active for the side of Font Nation. They're going to get rid of tier 2, which means they have another Regieleki that's going to march onto home if Natu's Revenge decide to take it.
Natu's Revenge. I am incredibly impressed by their macro decisions. They knew that that jump pad was not available. They knew that Font Nation was not at the pad, so they had a little bit of time and space to, in a really small window, to try to get those points in. And that's really deadly for a Hoopa on the opposite side. So they knew that they could push that advantage, and they executed it perfectly.
Speaking of pushing their advantage, the Unite moves are flying. Hoopa is unbound. Phantom Forest makes sure that Hoopa goes back to Nurse Joy in full unbound form. Azure Spy Vision. Psyduck is going to get a nice 31 overcap. And now Natu's Revenge, 200 points to the good. 1 second to go. And I think Font Nation are scrambling because they want to get positioned for this Regieleki.
Scrambling, and there's no Blissey on the board, so no eggs allowed. They can't Regieleki in the top path. Buzzwole looking to start this party off right.
Oh, but Snorlax is going to block everybody out. Ziguri is there, pushing everyone away. Revenant Ren is going to activate. Who's going to take it? It is the Charge Beam from Miraidon. Serena goes down now. Natu's Revenge have a problem. Buzzwole is picking up and slamming anything that moves. Trevenant makes sure they can't get to the hole, but Buzzwole does not care about this forest. It's going to take it down with its big, bulging muscles, Kyle.
That was a really impressive play by Font Nation. Great secure, and then great pressure to push that in. And while they didn't completely close the gap on this score deficit, they have clawed their way back into this game. This is still within striking distance. They, a 100-point dunk will put them within even closer range, so it's not over. There's still a Rayquaza as well. This basement Reggie is something that both teams look to be very interested in getting. Natu's Revenge a little bit more so.
2 minutes 45 on the clock. 2 level 13s for the side of Font Nation. A level 14 Inteleon. That push onto that top pad really gave them that experience, Kyle. If they're lucky... No, I thought we were going to see a Reggie still, but it is a Regi. Still a good buff. Look at Ziguri's positioning here. Way on the top side, trusting their team to secure that. 25 seconds. Rayquaza looming. Do or die for Font Nation. Gut check time. Natu's Revenge want a clean sweep to the next round.
They absolutely do, where Antic Odium is waiting with open arms. 303, 186. 10 seconds until the final stretch. It's going to be Font Nation that's going to have to act first because Natu's Revenge, they're playing a little bit conservative. They want to just hold this Rayquaza. They don't need to touch it. They just need to find some KOs.
Beautiful swoop and slam by Buzzwole, but Serena's able to get out. Ultra Sword Slam, I think, came out. It did, but it didn't hit anything. Snipe Shot's going to chunk down Kieran Mount, who just has to leave and make sure that they don't get taken out. But Natu's Revenge have been pushed out of this Rayquaza.
Swing and a miss on that Buzzwole Unite, but no Pokemon have fallen just yet. Snorlax looking for an engage point, but a nice snipe shot is going to send them packing. Oh my gosh, look at that engage from Trevenant!
The hyperspace hole pushes Snorlax back, but he still somehow manages to survive. Hooper is there. Curse is going down. Meteor storms are raining down from Miraidon with the brightest future. Are they seeing? Psyduck puts a halt on to Cerule Edge's plans. Snorlax is hunting down Inteleon. There are fights happening all over the path. But if we look at the Rayquaza pit, Miraidon and Boswell are there ripping the Rayquaza to shreds. It's still not gone yet. And Hagu has seen the danger, Kyle. Can they get in? They do engage with the Queenly Ascendant into the triple axle. But they're going to be reset by the hyperspace hole.
Hyperspace Hole is going to reset. Snorlax goes back to the Pokemon Center. Rayquaza still getting chipped here. And 2 members are down for Font Nation.
Inteleon is charging up that snipe shot. Could they hit the Cerule Edge? They do! Ow! Before the Cerule Edge could secure, and Psyduck manages to take down the green dragon. Hondo
Quack,
Burgers
quack,
incoming.
Quack, quack, quack. Looking fantastic here. Not
You with
too
the sports references today, buddy.
you know, you have to. You have to. Looking fantastic as Natu's Revenge. A clean sheet here in your lower bracket finals. They are going to your grands where Antic Odium is waiting with open arms. 2-0. Natu's Revenge.
Oh, mate, Nazis are definitely happy. They are getting their revenges all over the scorecard. I think just a dazzling performance from Nati's Revenge, but let's not take anything away from Font Nation. They put up one heck of a Rayquaza fight. That Rayquaza fight split off into, I think, about 3 different directions, trying to keep track of that. But this time around, Kyle, I think, for me, Caster's MVP has to go to Tom1 on that Inteleon. Snipe shots hitting from off the screen. Tom1 was locked in that game.
They were absolutely locked and loaded. 14 KOs, 2 assists. I mean, this was a close battle at some point, but again, the macro decisions from Natu's Revenge were just too much to overcome for Font Nation. Those incredible T2 pushes, which really help, slow down the Hoopa onslaught. Man, just an incredible play there. I'm really excited to see this next matchup between Natu's Revenge and Antic Odium. 2 teams that I think play incredibly, what's the word I'm looking for? They play poise. They play discipline.
Yes.
They know the macro. They know what they need to do to win. It's going to be a chess match between these 2 teams.
I'm looking forward to it, but just want to quickly shout out once again, Tom1. 77k damage dealt, 17k damage taken. Crazy. Ziggurat also, we saw how aggressive their Trevenant was with a lovely Horn Leech engage. Snorlax still managing to get out of that, but that led to the entire fight going on. So really beautiful play all the way. But like you said, Antic X Odium waits with open arms. They are sitting in that throne at the moment, but Natu's Revenge want to knock them off. Our grand finals is coming up, guys. We're going to throw it to a short break because this action has been tiring, mate. It has been a hard watch, but a fun watch nonetheless. Don't go anywhere. Grab your popcorn, grab your water, grab your snacks. We'll be right back.
Welcome back, everyone, for our grand finals of the OC Feb Cup. I'm here with Lobo and Steel Agent Kyle. We've been spectating really dominant gameplay, I think, from the two teams now have found themselves in the grand finals. It's going to be Natu's Revenge against Antic x Odium. I think we've got the set ready to go for you guys. We're going to go straight in, but Lobo, it's time yet again to see what the Natu's Revenge can kind of create a revenge scenario so that they can finally take that crown.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one. I think this has been a rematch that has been on Natu's Revenge's mind for a long time. Kyle, I'm actually going to do what Fu does to me and put you on the spot. Give us your call for the winner who takes it out.
Antic Odium.
Well, give us your just no second guessing at all.
This is what I need from you, Lobo. Look at how short.
What do you mean?
Is.
What do you mean? That's not fair. That's not fair.
I don't want to be put on the spot, and you know.
That's not.
Honestly, I think it could be any. I'll give the real answer. I think it could be either of them. I think it's going to be whoever comes out to a little bit faster of a start, because both of them really like playing aggressive, like playing with pace. And if you fall behind with that type of playstyle, sometimes it tends to be a little bit tough. But if you play with that playstyle and you get off to a lead, they love continually putting the foot on the gas, and they do not give up. Both of those teams. So we're gonna see who's gonna kind of win that war of attrition. But I think kind of hard to bet against Antic Odium right now. But I have faith in Natu.
So a very diplomatic answer by Kyle. I love that.
What do you mean? Fu's like, this is what I want from you, Lobo, when I give a diplomatic answer. But now Kyle gives one, you're like, nah, very, very good, Kyle. Favoritism.
Yeah, what I hear from you is just yapping, Lobo. I can't really understand anymore. But no, what I was going to say is these two teams, something fantastic we get to watch is they play quite similar Pokemon in terms of the top path as well. We saw Hagu on that Serena, we saw Joe on the Serena, and then Zigri play the Aegis Slash, but so does Anon as well. So it's going to be a fight for which of these Pokemons are going to be prioritized for these teams. Too bad we don't get to see the draft. However, once we go in, I'm curious to see whether there's going to be a give or take scenario, right? And obviously in the bot path as well, Miraidon and Teleon, probably your two most sought after attackers behind Mew. So a lot of things that these teams can bring up, but both these teams, they had dominant 2-0 sweeps coming into the grand finals. What's going to happen when they clash together? And I mean, Blissey ban, that's going to be my prediction, Lobo. Any other Pokemon that you want to see?
I mean, Blissey ban's kind of a given, right, at this point. We have seen Psyduck been let out. Psyduck has come to play. Those headaches have been giving headaches to other Pokemon, transporting them to other Pokemon. Not too many Umbreon seen from actually both of these teams either. So I think Umbreon, Psyduck, Blissey, they're your classics. We know both of these teams like to play Urshifu as well. And considering how good of a secure Pokemon that is right now. And then obviously the pressure that Miraidon showed when Antic x Odium took down Font Nation early on in the broadcast. That could also be a possibility to get banned out. So it's going to be an interesting one for it.
Yeah, I just have the bans available summarized by Dr. Poker for the ACL, and the toppermost banned Pokemon, 1/5 of the time, is actually going to be Psyduck, and Blissey doesn't make it at all into the ban side. So that's very interesting that a different region, they don't really care about that Pokemon, but I know how important OC is for that supporter pick. Serena will be the second most banned at 15.5%, and then it's Umbreon and Mimikyu, and obviously, no surprise at all, the most used support Pokemon in the ACL is going to be that Blissey. And they also have the highest win rate as well, 14 wins in 21 matches. You got to ask yourself, if it has such a high win rate and it's the most picked supporter, why in the world is Psyduck being banned? But I guess it's not a problem in this region.
Yeah, that's kind of my opinion too. And I think Blissey was in a great spot last month in the January Cup before the buffs. And now with that buff to the Unite.
Let's do it, Fu.
Lobo, no Blissey, so we're clear. But the single favorite Psyduck is on the field.
Your favorite field. Hello, let's go. We are heading on in to this match. Anti-Exodium are going to be on your purple side, Nazi. And on your orange side, Mewtwo heading into the top lane. Zoroark heading into the central area, but Urshifu has been let out to play. And we are seeing a Mime for the first time.
Mime, Showtime. And we're going to have that in the bottom part then. Vader playing it with the Sobble picked up from DC. And both Miraidon and your Inteleon are going to be available for these teams. So it's going to be a clash of the range, right? Joker back on this side now, trying to disrupt the gameplay from early on, seeing whether they can get some of these neutral farms.
No invade, which means Urshifu finally gets to have a central area all to itself without any hindrance at all. Ziggurat is back on the Trevenant for a trusty Pokemon, but they're slowly getting whittled down by the combination play of Mewtwo and Eldegoss. That is going to be a rough one, but Zoroark is already here. Ahead of Urshifu has taken that evolution. Middle Altarias are going to spawn up, and it's going to be a 3v3, but Mime making their way up to assist these top Altarias.
Yeah, this is classic gameplay by EXO. They like to send up one more person to help out with these birds that are going to be coming up right now. We have a Trick Hooper, ladies and gentlemen, for our first game of the Grand Finals, and they're going to be a clash. Our first little skirmish, Night Slash, Zoroark from Anon, looking to pick out one KO. They do, in fact, take down the Fan Thump, and that's going to be our first little KO of today's game. But, you know, it all is not lost because DC, it looks like to go down there in the bottom part. They actually get away, Lobo.
Managed to pick up that Citrus Berry. Night Slash is a move we have not seen in a hot minute played on Zoroark. But again, with players as talented as Anon, they're going to put that moveset to great effect. Still only very low scores. Heading on into that 8-minute mark, we're going to move to the middle area, but Mime gets quickly chunked down.
The power of your Charge Beam Miraidon at full display here, and DC not able to evolve just yet, will be lost in that ranged matchup. Liz trying to defend against two members. Joe's finally up to help, but we have another engage at the bottom already before the 7-minute mark even starts. And I'm going down to Joker, and that is going to be a crucial KO in favor of Natsu's Revenge. It's actually still the donut store that AXO is visiting thus far, and that changes very, very soon.
Middle Altari is finally getting some love from Mewtwo as Anti-Exodium are going to take that, try and get a little bit more experience on the board. Urshifu just kind of hovering to see if they want to go in, but being chased down by Zoroark inside that top path. Ziggurat has gone in for an engage onto Mewtwo. But now, Anon is just going to take some window shopping inside Natsu Revenge central area.
Yeah, it's about shopping the enemy's central area. That's a little bit sweeter. They're going to give up the birds up on the top side, and Hagu getting a pick on Liz will create some sort of opportunity. But Invader is here to delay it for Anon to come back in, and they do get the KO onto the Trevenant there. But Hart is still trying the best to defend, or maybe delay this pad, but it won't not be able to fend off Anon right in the flux zone, Lobo, as the objectives will be spawned now. 6:40 on the timer mark, and there's going to waste no time, EXO, to rip down this Reggie.
Zoroark, a Pokemon that does not care about that flux zone. Anti-Exodium taking Regieleki off the board. Natsu's Revenge going to secure themselves a nice little Regice, unless DC has anything to say about it, but a Psyduck's going to pressure that out. But Hagu's here to help out with the secure.
Yeah, we have now everyone on the side of Natsu's Revenge rotating down in the bottom path. We have a 5 coming in from the Trevenant, and Anon is going to look to do a pincer play coming up behind from them. The Cyburn will be able to see everybody, giving vision for their team. We have another engage, a siege on this tier 1 pad of AXO. We have a Chaos Streak of 2 for the Urshifu, but they do go down in the end to Anon, and Anon finds perhaps another one trying to fight out Tom1 in this bottom pad. We have Ziggurat not manages to go down, or they do actually to Joe. And when you have a mega evolved Mewtwo, Lobo, I mean the A-press pressure is just so large.
Yeah, the pressure is so high right now, but Infinite Psy is going to come out from Joker to try and alleviate some of that pressure.
Trying to go in. They don't have a lot of HP. They actually get taken on themselves trying to save Joker. And no one is laughing on the side of Natu's Revenge anymore because another KO streak of 2 will go on the side. Make that 3 for DC. They're running straight into the charge beam of Tomwon. And it baits out the Meteor Storm that finally shuts them down. And that is going to be a nice way to defend the pad, especially since Ziggury is here with their Unite move available as well. But it's just so hard to get onto a Mewtwo that is unstoppable with their Side Strike.
Mewtwo finally goes down. Liz trying their best to run away from a Miraidon combination. Gets caught out, gets taken down. This is a never-ending sequence of engages and disengages on this bottom path, Fu.
No one wants to play Pac-Man for those yellow dots on the map. It's all about the brawl for our grand finals. Phantom Forest trying to keep Ziggury sustained, and we have the Mime Showtime trying to get Tomwon. Tomwon gets bursted down by the Unite move of Anon, and now the next set objective will spawn, and no one has shown any love in that top path. They're going to try to score in, but this is a mistake for AXO because Trevenant and their Horn Leeches with the curse as well will provide that AoE damage to stop any scores.
With that tier 1 finally disappearing, Infinite Cyburn comes out from Mewtwo. Are they finally going to stop fighting? I don't know. These teams are just set in stone on brawling it out. And as KO's come through for DC, taking down Psyduck, I think it's finally time for a disengage. Because Mime's inside that top path. That poor Regieleki hasn't gotten any love, neither has the bottom that's just spawned.
And you look at the end of the day, at this 3 minutes 45 mark, it is going to be AXO that have broken both pads of Natu's Revenge. Ziggury, only just 3 members, but Joe's here to help with the Side Strike, taking them down, and Anon isn't finished just yet. Finishes the combo onto Heart and looks for more there, but Joker now, especially with the Ebon Fist, unable to lock on to Anon. Anon actually gets out without a scratch by Invader. Maybe not so lucky, but it's alright. They are just the supporter here with the XP share. Not a lot of XP will be afforded to Tomwon.
Unfortunate there, but look, these teams are just fighting it out. Let's have a quick look at the scores. We're already at the 3-minute mark. DC with a beautiful eject to get away from Hagu. But Psyduck gets taken down with an incredible snipe shot. 180 to 52 after that 3-minute mark for
Hagu just finds a way out there into the safety of their top tier 2 pad where they are trying to rip down that Regieleki. It is finally time to do the last objective, Lobo, before the final stretch will start on. It's going to be a Regirock for AXO, uncontested from side of Natu's Revenge. They're going to work on trying to get the last bit of levels for them. We see Ziggury tick onto that level 12, and Miraidon already at a really nice level 13. Or at least match Anon's level as well. This is going to be a close game for sure. Not a lot of points disparity at all. Nothing a little Rayquaza can't fix.
No, absolutely. And again, we see these levels ticking over. 12 seconds to go, level 13. Like you mentioned, Anon on the Zorak, level 13. Hagu on Urshifu, level 13. Miraidon, level 13. Mewtwo. DC, only the one that has not hit that level 13 with the Inteleon yet, but I don't think it's very far away. The Green Dragon has hit the field, and DC chunks a nice bit of damage away from Hagu, and they're going to have to try and retreat before they do anything. Onus is on Natu's Revenge to really go forward, but maybe these teams just want to fight. We're just going to wait for this engage, and I think they've spotted their target, but protected by Mewtwo, as we still have a lull inside this Ray fight.
We have Trick Hooper on, using that trick onto the Ebon Fist of Urshifu. They don't actually manage to find anybody, and that's going to be a Unite wasted. But Anon now caught out between a rock and a duck. Goes down, actually. Nice little Phantom Forest from Ziggury. We'll be able to push out 2 members of AXO, and Heart will bring everybody in on Natu's Revenge. Joe using the Meteor Storm to combat the Infinite Cyburn that Joe is placed on. But a nice little snipe from DC takes down Hagu, and it's going to be a 4v3 fight now. Everyone has exhausted their Unite moves, so it's all about what you can do to knock out the members using your own enhanced moves. Miraidon goes down for another 20 seconds, and with the points lead in favor of AXO, they're not going to worry about doing this with Quasar. It's about trying to keep this fight going and pick off them one by one.
Picking off exactly 1 by 1 as Hooper gets taken down. Mewtwo being used to great effect. That Side Strike just being able to be unstoppable in that instant. Great wall to stop Ziggury from going in, but I think 30 seconds on the clock. Hagu's inside that Rayquaza pit food.
Joe is now mega evolved. They're gonna be able to chunk down the side up with the help of DC, and Ziggury's not gonna be that lucky either. Hagu has the same fate placed onto them, and Tomwon is now back from the Pokemon Center, but they just can't get into the pit at all. And we do have AXO ripping their Quasar while all of this is happening. They're successful. 10 seconds to go. They don't even need a score, but might as well put it in with that huge Rayquaza shield and pad up the stats. And we're going to have game 1 going to Antic Exodium.
DC managing to get that 100 burger inside the bottom path there to really, you know, push that score onto a lot, to make it look a lot closer than it was. I think Antic Exodium played that Ray fight incredibly well. They were in a spot of trouble with Anon getting targeted by Hagu and Joker. They went down early inside that Rayquaza fight. Just unfortunately, they couldn't catch Joe, who was supported brilliantly by Liz to keep them alive. We saw Ziggury horn leeching in, using the Phantom Forest to try and really chunk down any kind of health away from Joe and take them out of the raid fight, but unfortunately did not work, and they were able to come back into it and kind of show a little bit more dominance inside that retake of that raid fight.
Yeah, in the early game, it was really quite a tight start for both these teams, but the ability to slowly start snowballing on the side of AXO did manage to get them the victory there. 108,000 damage dealt by Joe on the Mewtwo Y, and supported obviously by your Invader and Liz as well. Yet again, it is going to be a strong performance from AXO, but this is the grand finals we're talking about, and Natsu's Revenge definitely do not want to give it away on a clean sweep basis, and they're going to be going back in to think about a strategy to kind of take at least another game off and maybe send it to a game 3.
That's exactly what we want to see behind the casters at game 3. Let's have a look at these bans really quickly. Umbreon, Aegislash, Serena, and Blissey banned off this game. Aegislash and Serena, two Pokemon really loved by both of these teams. Blissey kind of common with the bans. We've seen it, I think, every single game so far. And Umbreon, a very common man as well, which means it allowed Joker to have a Psyduck on the playing field.
Yeah, so they do ban away Joe Serena. Is it just a problem that they're facing? I was going to say maybe they could have taken it for themselves. I don't think EXO will be first picking Serena at all, but it is up to them to change it up for this game number 2. And maybe it's worthwhile banning another Pokemon that could have been a problem, such as, you know, even the another supporter, or maybe taking away Inteleon from DC, somehow manages to take your Miraidon as well and enforcing them on maybe a smaller range attacker. Who knows what they're going to be doing, but they have about 5 minutes to plan that out, Lobo. As we get in, Antic Odium, they haven't lost a single game so far today, and Natus, they definitely want to be the first team to do so.
I mean, I think it would be a great morale as well as a mental boost for Natsu's Revenge to be the only team to take a game away from Antic Exodium, because we see how strong Antic Exodium are at playing. Again, Anon surprising us with a moveset that we haven't seen in a long time inside Night Slash, because we're used to seeing the other moveset in Feint Attack being brought out by Zoroark, but again, playing it to superb effect, especially in a grand finals scenario. I want to go back to what you're saying about taking the Inteleon away. We've seen DC play that Pokemon incredibly well. We've also seen a very standout performance from Tomwon in the losers round, playing Inteleon, taking that away and then taking Miraidon. I think that's great, because what else can you bring? But we haven't talked about Mewtwo for that 108k damage from Mewtwo with Nobu. And also, if you have a look at 108k damage with only 35 damage taken, so not really anyone that can jump onto Mewtwo, especially when it has Side Strike available. It's just able to maneuver away, and Liz doing a fantastic job supporting Joe in that instance. We saw when Ziggury tried to peel Joe away from the rest of their team, Liz was right there to make sure that Joe didn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, the good news for Natsu's Revenge is they were able to take a game off Antic Exodium yesterday in the winners semi-final before qualifying through the lower bracket. So they can definitely do so, and they know that they're going to be able to at least form a draft to put up a fight in the late game as well. And I think, as you mentioned before, the pick on Anon was so huge, and I think it really could have snowballed them. But unfortunately, in the end of the day, when you are going into a Quasar with a deficit in points, there's just that pressure, right, at all times, because even if you are able to pick out one of the main carries on the opponent team, you still have that Rayquaza to think about. You still need to somehow find a way to score enough points to take back the lead, and that's why teams take 8 minutes to bring the best version of themselves and their roster into that Rayquaza fight, right? Because that is going to be the most important 2 minutes of each game.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now we're seeing a point. I think we talked about it before. Teams are focusing on scoring high in games, so that they're trying to make sure that the Rayquaza is not as much of as a game deciding objective as it is. Also, we have seen it previously where Rayquaza has been taken. However, the scores have not come through. The shields have been ripped. And essentially, they take away the Rayquaza game, and teams have won with losing the Rayquaza as well. So I'm interested to see Antic Exodium have so many game plans that I think we've seen them play. They put the pressure on early, and they try to take a high score lead. But then when they head to that mid game, we saw in previous matches, not talking about this because we had a long bottom path fight. I think that lasted about 3 to 4 minutes. And I think that was fun for us to watch. But I don't know if that was part of the plan or if that you're just making stuff up on as you go because you're seeing where the pressure is coming from whilst you're in game.
I think it's just both teams got caught up in that tunnel vision of that bot path, right? Everything was, you had neutral farms that were spawned in the middle. We had Regieleki that had no love as well, and both teams just fighting 5v5 down in the basement. I mean, at the end of the day, I do agree with you. Maybe changing it up with something like a score comp could be great because it offers a more consistent, basis if you are going in without having the idea that I need to do the raid to win the game. I remember watching the NA qualifiers with Carl this morning. We had version 1 against Orange Juicers, and it got to a point where Orange Juicers was so far ahead in points at the Rayquaza fight, they didn't even turn up. They just went to score, and even if the opponents got the Rayquaza, they were able to have such a high lead that the points scored by the enemy team didn't matter. And as long as you can just not go down in the next, 1.5 minutes at the end of the game, you're going to be able to take it out confidently. And we've seen this done by Nitrostrains before. They've used that tactic against the other teams, playing more mobile characters that can actually run around, get some dunks in if you're not careful. I mean, Joker is very comfortable on the Sableye, which is kind of like the first Pokemon people use and think about when you're talking about score comp. So it's definitely possible. But, at the end of the day, they need to come up with something to take down EXO.
I'm curious to see what kind of game plan they come through with. As we know, all 10 of these players have such a deep pocket of Pokemon that they have utilized and that they can utilize as well. Seagray had the Greninja that was used incredibly to affect yesterday. I'm sorry. And then also we've seen Pokemon like Glaceon be used to be able to chunk down a front line. We've seen, but it just seems to be the very, very limited range attackers that could really go up against a Miraidon when it comes to that range, as well as we have 2 incredible Inteleon players right now. So where do the bans go? Where do the thoughts go? What is your team process, and how often does that team game plan get thrown out once you're in the middle of a game and it's either going really well or something's not going well? But there's some question I want to ask you because we've seen both teams play it before. Darkrai was such a prominent Pokemon that was used in previous cups, banned out due to a few issues with the Pokemon as well. It's still a very strong Pokemon, especially with that Worst Nightmare Unite move. Do you think it has a place to come out here, or are we relatively going to see the same bans but just a shuffle of the team's Pokemon?
I think it's a really hard question sometimes when you're bringing it out in such a high stakes game, especially because Darkrai, it's very good if you think about it in terms of dealing the damage, putting people to sleep, but also, able to lock down one single Pokemon with the Worst Nightmare Unite move. However, it is really bad at ripping objectives. It can struggle sometimes into certain team comps if you don't have enough support to help you kind of initiate that fight. If they have a Wiggly, you're pretty much countered whenever they can use their Unite move. If they have Miraidon, the Electric Terrain counters you as well. So while it's really strong, I think in the ranked ladder, where teams don't really know how to play around it, I think in a 5-on-5 scenario, there has to be some circumstance for you to actually have a reason to use it and not just pick it because it is OP. And I think Miraidon is probably on the opposite end of the spectrum. It feels like it's a strong whenever, and if you pick it first or higher up in your priority, and they go like speedsters. I mean, Electro Drift is a fantastic way to keep yourself sustained, but also provide the same amount of damage that perhaps the Charge Beam can as well. So I'm not sure. Maybe it is the play. I haven't seen too much Darkrai coming out from Natu's Revenge. I know Hagu plays a lot of it, so they definitely have a player that can. But at the same time, you have to really think about what you're going to be banning out, right? Because if you're banning out Wiggly, for example, or Miraidon, but then Blissey gets to play the game, and I mean, Safeguard just it just stops stops any of your players getting to sleep on a single target, obviously. But that's a great counter.
I mean, having all of these Pokemon, like, again, I think we counted it yesterday, 73 Pokemon if you include Urshifu's both forms. But I think we are in the game right now for the draft, looking kind of juicy. Trevenant, Eldegoss, Lucario, Mimikyu, and Greninja for the side of Antic Exodium.
Wow, Ziggurat going back on the Aegislash, so you know Kyle is very happy with that. But I'm very curious to see this Greninja play. Might be Joe going to the central area, and Anon will be going up to the top side. That's exactly what's happening here, Lobo.
Yeah, absolutely. Kari's going to head, with the Eldegoss in tow. Wonder if Eldegoss is going to take a little bit of nom-nom on that red buff. Doesn't seem that way. Mime is looking to head into the central area as we've got a Trevenant heading on in to try and cause Hagu some problems. But both members of Natu's Revenge are here because they don't want any hindrance to their central area.
Well, this is really a display of how important it is to help out your teammates, because Invader actually gets away with the red buff, and they also delayed 3 members of Natu's Revenge. And looks like Invader is not going away anytime soon, Lobo. They're going to look to invade more and really starve out the experience for Hagu there. They actually escaped with both.
And Invader got away with both buffs. Insane. And also that's a 4th member that had to come in and help as well. So Antic Exodium playing the mind games early on. Tomwon is here. DC going with the play rough combination. I think that's great into this. Altarias are up. We've got them all going. Tomwon managed to secure 1 with Water Gun. Hagu needs to get some experience on the board. So close to level 5, but DC level 6. Invader doing that job.
Invader definitely caused a lot of disruption, I think, for Natu's Revenge. Looking at the draft that AXO has brought out, there seems to be a lack of secure. If DC will be taking that Mimikyu, there's obviously the Aegislash Unite move, there's the Urshifu Wicked Blow, and also the Inteleon Snipe Shot for the side of Natu's Revenge. So if it does come to a rip, definitely we know who the favorites are, but sometimes they'll let the team fights. We have people being low. DC's in the central area, trying to do what Invader did before, but gets shut down by Hagu and their Wicked Blow.
Yeah, I think that Wicked Blow was full of revenge. Oh no! Invader gets out again! The understanding of the map must be incredible on Invader's side. But on the opposite end, Anon almost getting stopped by Mime Wall into the Sacred Sword. It's out. But Joe is here. Greninja versus Doublade, I think. And oh, nice. Ziggurat manages to get a KO onto Joe. I think that's good comeback experience. But Heart's going to go down in the process.
And I'm picking up a KO streak of 2 in response. And we do have a very low Ziggurat having to run away from Invader. Going to try to survive this with their boost attack. They might be close to do so, but will ultimately go down to Invader.
4 members inside that top path. They're going to clear away. There's Altarias. DC's going to try and do the same Shadow Sneak, but unable to mount the pair up because Joker was there to protect Tomwon inside that top path. Antic Exodium seem to have full control as Hagu is here to try and stop Anon and Joe.
It's going to be a Power Up Punch. Lucario coming out from Anon, the close combat. Try to keep them sustained, but they do end up going down. And Ziggurat picks off Joe as well. That is a massive amount of experience and maybe an opportunity to push this path, though.
Yeah, Joe had to use that Water Burst Shuriken, came out. Heart is here with the Mime as well to make sure that Liz can't stop anything. But I don't think that base is left on 3. They clawed back the points, and they're just going to get rid of it, Fu.
this is a better start for Natsu's Revenge, but we do have Ziguri going down to Anon. They're really low. Hunt also going into the Power Up Punch of Anonymous, and we don't have a lot of members with a lot of HP. A nice little snipe shot, though, as the engage will go off Lobo.
And Aura Cannon also takes out a retreating Hagu. Unbelievable. Reggie still on that bottom path, and DC is just going to take that away. Natsu's Revenge are going to focus their energy onside that top path. Anon is here, going in onto Psyduck, but Psyduck managed to get out with the Sacred Sword. There's the Shield Bash. Water Burst Shuriken comes in from Joe. Ziggury's going to hack and slash their way down. Mime takes out Anon. The Water Shuriken does go on to Ziggury, who pops up, that wide gut, but ends up getting flattened by Trevenant, and DC is now here to clean up with Mimikyu.
Oh, Tomoe managed to escape that. Play with me, going on to a Shifu instead, but the Emon Fish in response onto Joe, but they're not going to be able to knock them out because they get shut down by DC instead.
Oh, the fights are going on all over the place, and now Antic X Odium are just going to remain inside their central area whilst they take this Regieleki exactly, I think, how they planned it. Starve Natsu's Revenge from any kind of experience, but it looks like they could go for a top lane push to help this Regieleki push in, but I think they're just going to maintain that central area.
They look to rotate out into the bottom, Lobo, as a switcheroo strategy, trying to get some scores in, but you know, credit where credit is due. Joker already knowing this strategy will be using their Sai to keep it in, and more cavalry will come in the form of Natsu's Revenge teammate, and they managed to get out Invader, and they look to push here. I don't know whether it's good for DC to go back in, Lobo.
No, Shadow Sneak did hunt on, but beautiful Psychic, I believe, to pull Invader back and then just get hacked and slashed down by Ziggury. We've got a 200 game to 107. We're only at the halfway minute mark. So it's incredible. DC is surrounded by 4 members of Natsu's Revenge. They could try for a push here, but there are numbers back defending.
There are definitely more members now on the side of Natsu's Revenge, but here comes a quick engage. They actually just delete Inteleon. Mimikyu stuck between 5 members here.
Yeah, stuck between 2 walls, and Ziggury is going to make their way in. Big Horn Leaf from Invader in to that. Joy's going to come in with the Water Burst Shuriken. Surf from the side up, 2 KO streak. Mime Showtime is going to ward Joe back, but Ziggury is not afraid. Goes in with the coup de grace and the boost, but Contact Crash is going to keep Joe nice and healthy as Aegis Slash gets taken down, but Non's going to come back from the behind to pincer them with a beautiful Aura Cannon, and Hagu just has to retreat on out.
Yet again, it seems like AXO have the response to anything that Natsu's Revenge is throwing at them at the moment, and on top of that, consistently starving themselves, taking these farm away from Natsu's, and you know, it's going to be tough, right, when you're a Shifu. Every time you go into your central area thinking the timers is up, you see your jungle farm getting taken away, and when you go to the objectives, AXO is already there, and it's going to be a tough ask for Heart to secure that. They're not able to. Good effort nonetheless, and they look to defend this once again. What can Natsu's Rangers do here, Lobo, to come back in for this game? Because this is an important one. If they lose this, the whole tournament goes to AXO.
It's so hard to see what they can do despite being behind and all of their farming getting taken. Liz could be almost caught out. Psyduck Surf not hitting their mark. DC has decided to go in. Does a quick player off onto Psyduck, and AXO are just going to push and pile the pressure on to Natsu's Revenge. They have no breathing room right now, Fu, and it is it almost feels suffocating. What can they do? Ziggury's still managing to hit level 13. Greninja's level 14. So they've kept pace with the levels and not too far back on the points, as we've got 26 seconds until Rayquaza spawns.
22 seconds for maybe the most important fight tonight, as we have Joker chunked down from the player off of DC. Still a bit of time before the Green Dragon will spawn. I mean, everything needs to go into the strategy for Natsu's Revenge if they want to come back into this. They don't really have the best bit of positioning. They're still kind of scared to go in. We have a nice Shadow Sneak trying to hook onto anybody, Lobo, but we're going to see Ziggury start out immediately, and here comes the fight.
Yeah, Infinite Saya is going to go on. Inteleon is going to help snap this up, but Ziggury has just decided to focus on the Rayquaza Water Burst Shuriken. Contact Clash, who's going to secure it? Who takes the lead? It is AXO with an almost team wipe. It is a team wipe. 4 KO streak from Joe. Hondo Burgers raining down, Fu.
AXO winning this game with an emphatic fashion, just to tell everybody that they are back and they are hungry for more. 700 points now will rain down for their team, and Nati's Revenge can only do but watch as their members also get taken down once again. Joe had a KO streak of 4 in that fight, and they want more. Mimikyu shutting down Ziguri as well, and must say, with a minute to go, it is a good effort by Nati's Revenge, but at the end of the day, I think it just AXO played that very, very well for the second game.
Unfortunately, there we talked about the secure potential for both teams. Inteleon, Aegislash for the side of Nati's Revenge, but how can you secure when you're visiting Nurse Joy? And Joe made sure that 4 members of Nati's Revenge's team were not in any position to secure that. Again, 784, kind of an insurmountable, but Nati's Revenge is still going to push on, make sure they at least end this up with a respectable, as Joe gets pushed out by Psyduck here into the infinite Sai.
Sai into the water burst shuriken from Joe, and the water shurikens today really helped them keep the distance, and a nice little engage, and Hornleech from Invader will take down 2. Take home the win, and proving that they are one of the best teams in this region, at least for this month.
AXO are heading on over to EUIC. They did not compete in the previous cup. They needed the experience, they needed the play, and what a way to make a statement, Fu, that they are now very much in the mindset of, we are ready, we are locked in, we are going to show up for this region and for themselves. What an incredible performance by AXO. Joe with 10 KOs, Anon with 11, but I have to give it to Invader. The delays early game managing to secure both buffs against Urshifu inside that middle with all of the support that they had was crazy.
We also have to shout out Nati's Revenge as well. Being able to come into the grand finals for 3 cups in a row, essentially, just every single cup they've played, they're able to secure their spot is no small feat. I think they've played definitely very well. I hope to see them in the March qualifiers for the final stretch, because one day they'll be able to improve on the gameplay and then continue to perform even better and obviously learn from everything that they've faced today. But it is going to be AXO winning this one, with Anon taking 69k damage, Joe with the 80k. And they don't really have, if you think about it, your conventional attack in the bot path, DC taking the Mimikyu, but Joe with the Shuriken was able to provide that poke. At the end of the day, though, congratulations to AXO for taking this one out. Blissey banned yet again, Lobo, and as well as Miraidon ban, with the Inteleon getting taken by Nati's Revenge, was something that we manifested.
I just want to... DC had a very interesting role here. You saw it every single time. Their entire Shadow Sneaks were all set to go to Inteleon and Tomwon, really not letting them play the game, as well as Joker. How many times did we see DC hit that Shadow Sneak and really chunk a big amount of damage away from Joker, which is, again, stops Psyduck from playing the game. So a really interesting role switch where DC would have gotten the Inteleon, but actually focused more on the lockdown of the backline defense from backline attack of Tomwon, and then just allowing Anon and Joe to go head to head with Ziguri and Hagu, because again, those 2 Pokemon really like the backup that they get from Tomwon with the snipe shots, with how accurate they are. So DC providing that distraction for Tomwon really led into their gameplay, and I think that was it's not something I noticed straight away, but it came a little bit more obvious because all of DC's KOs came onto Tomwon and Joker.
Yeah, definitely a very strong matchup against an Inteleon. Now, I'm going to bring back Steel Agent Kyle to get their thoughts on today's grand finals. Kyle, I hope you're watching from behind the scenes. What did you think about that set?
I'm just going to pat myself on the back. No, I'm just kidding. No, I mean, Antic did what they've been doing all tournament long, right? Just win. Just win, baby. And that's exactly what they did. Convincing fashion this time. They're going to be your grand finals champions of the February Cup. Just in time to practice for EUIC. So very exciting stuff for them. I'm sure they got to feel good going into their opportunity later.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially if they, weren't able to play the January Cup. Coming out from a W is obviously going to help their confidence representing the region as well. Lobo, any highlights today that we want to, I guess, talk about before we end up the broadcast today? Very quick games today, no bracket reset, I think, as opposed to normally. But let's get your thoughts.
Just quick shout outs to Antic as well. They did not drop a single game throughout this entire tournament, and that shows they are currently the standard that the rest of the OC teams are chasing. And I think the OC teams are not far away from really pushing Antic Exodium in the next few cups. Natu's Revenge, most consistent team, has second place every single time. And I know that is going to be burning the fires for them to search for that ever elusive first place. But excuse me, I think it had to be just, I want to say the combination play between Hagu and Ziguri, honestly, that we saw across all games that we watched with Natu Revenge was incredible. And then the Serena Comfy destructions, I want to call it. It is what it was. Joe and Liz have made a great combination on this Antic Exodium team. And I think Liz, big shout outs to them. They are a support player that is, I think, on another level in this region. Being able to really keep Joe alive, being able to keep Anon alive, being able to keep their entire team, as well as Invader. Big shout outs to them. We have seen the level of depth that they're able to provide with this team, and what Invader is able to do is able to allow the rest of the team to play freely. So Antic Exodium have found a groove, and I think they're about to push this to the next level.
Definitely. I think that's exactly what Natu Revenge also will take away from today. They're going to be improving on their performance, but they've been really consistent so far. Kyle, did you have any highlight that you want to talk about before we wrap up from today's sets?
I think you just kind of nailed it. Natu's Revenge have been just very consistent. It's just a matter of time before they start clicking on all cylinders. They're right on the doorstep. I don't think it's anything to, lay your head down and be sad about. I think they're right there. I'm excited to see what this team does when it comes to March Cup, how they kind of come back and, back and better than ever, and maybe they could win March. So I'm excited for them. Obviously very excited for Antic to, come back and win another cup. Now, very exciting stuff here in the OC.
Yeah, OC, I mean, I hope the double-digit team participation keeps going into the final stretch qualifiers, because that's going to be the next cup before March will arrive. And if Natu takes that, they're going all the way to LAIC, I think. So that's going to be an international event to look forward to. But I think this is a great time to give a few shout-outs to the people that made today's broadcast possible. As usual, it's always fantastic to bring the action for everyone at home, obviously on an unofficial basis, but if we can show off the talent that OC has, it's a great way to create hype for our international tournaments as well. Just want to quickly give a shout out to Lobo and Kyle from across the world for coming in for the casting as always. I hope everyone enjoyed the action brought by them. We have Peachy on the producer today to make it all possible with all the changes of the overlays and the scenes, and Rosanda yet again so early in the morning for them in the EU region, but still able to help us out with the observing, and Shabam on the admin helping to do the chat to make sure everything is in orderly fashion. I mean, what a wonderful team that we have at Battle Hub GG, and we'll be back very, very soon. Hopefully, once EUIC is over, we're going to be able to bring you the final stretch action as well. Anything I've missed, Kyle and Lobo, before we say goodbye? I think that is a great show on the road today.
I don't think so. Yeah, I think you nailed it on the head, Foo.
Oh.
Well, there we go. Congratulations to AXO once again for taking out the February Cup, and we'll see you guys in a month. Bye-bye.